Okay, welcome everybody to the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge for the third week of May. We have with us myself, Sheila, Elizabeth, Ted, Alex, Henry, and Danielle made it with us, so we're glad to have all of them. And according to the predetermined order, Henry is the first up. And he's going to perform a monologue first. Let me bring the wheel up. Sorry, I didn't have that one ready. Okay, there we go. And Henry is going to perform. Duke Senior, now my co-mates in exile I believe that, so Act 2, Scene 1, I believe that's the beginning of the scene.
One. All right. Okay.
You got it, Henry? You ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
I got it. I don't know if I'm ready, but we'll see. Oh, yeah. Now, my co-mates and brothers in exile, hath not this old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here feel we but the penalty of Adam, the season's difference, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say there is no flattery. These are counsellors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head. And this our life exempt from public haunt finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. I would not change it.
Okay, very nice.
Nice speech, wasn't it?
Sorry, you were saying something?
That's a nice speech, isn't it? Yes, I forgot that.
Yeah, it really is. So let's see. Danielle is up next, and then Eleanor's not with us today. Alex is on deck. So Danielle and then Alex. Hi, Danielle.
Hello.
Danielle is going to perform. French Romans Countrymen. Act 3, Scene 2.
Scene 3, 2.
And see, approximately 52 lines in, because I think Brutus starts the scene, goes off, and then Antony does his Friends Romans Countrymen speech.
Aha. Here we are. I have indeed. Thank you.
Okay.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus hath told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honourable man, so are they all honourable men, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me, but Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious? When that the poor have cried, Caesar hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff. Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honourable man. You all did see that on the Lupercal I thrice presented him a kingly crown, which he did thrice refuse. Was this ambition? Yet Brutus says he was ambitious, and sure he is an honourable man. I speak not to disprove what Brutus spoke, but here I am to speak what I do know. You all did love him once, not without cause. What cause withholds you then to mourn for him? Oh, judgment! Thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost their reason. Bear with me. My heart is in the coffin there with Caesar, and I must pause till it come back to me.
Very nice. That really is a great monologue. Anyway, Eleanor joined us while you were performing. I had said that she wasn't, so glad you made it, Eleanor, and you are up next.
Oh.
So, and you're up next, and then, yeah, I had said, sorry, Alex, I said you were next because Eleanor wasn't here, but she's here now, so.
Well, you can still let Alex go next if you like.
Okay, yeah. Well, since you just joined us, and I told Alex he was next. Yeah, we'll have Alex go, and we'll just switch you two. So Alex will go, and then I'll be on deck. So Alex will perform. One great As You Like It monologue to another character's great monologue from As You Like It. Jake, All the World's a Stage.
7. Okay.
7.
7.
Let me create the banner for you. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and the entrances, and one man is in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and pucking in the nurse's arms. Then, the whining schoolboy, with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the bard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good cape and lined, with eyes severe, and beard of formal cut, full of wise souls and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose, and pouch on side, his youthful hose, well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes, and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is his second childishness and mere oblivion, sun's teeth, sun's eyes, sun's date, sun's everything.
Very nice. That's such a famous one of Shakespeare's monologues. Monologues. So famous that I don't think we've seen it here. I think it's been like almost 6 months since that's been spun. I think when the game was brand new, Bill spun it, and I remember he said, "And I don't need a script. I'm off book for this one." That's which is understandable. Okay, so Eleanor is up next, and Eleanor and Ted, you're on deck after Eleanor. Eleanor is going to perform the St. Crispin's Day speech.
Oh. Okay, let me whistle up
Okay.
Henry the Fifth.
Act 4, Scene 3, about 45 lines in.
Let's see.
Whenever you're ready.
Henry. I'm sure I must have Henry the Fifth here somewhere. I see Henry the Eighth, Henry the Sixth. Darn, I'm not seeing Henry the Fifth at the moment. I was in the midst of trying to sign in to play Shakespeare. When you told me that I was up. Error, complete captcha. I don't see a captcha. I'm sorry to be holding you guys up.
I believe it starts with what's he that wishes. So if you're having trouble finding it, you can look for it while Ted goes, if you'd like.
Yes, I'm having trouble logging in to play Shakespeare to find a.
All right. We'll.
They're not letting me log in.
Okay, so Ted will perform. Okay, so Ted spun the wild card. So you do whatever you want. So that's what means when wild card comes up. But what would you like to do for us today, Ted?
I would like to do Troilus and Cressida, the very last speech of Pandurus.
Pandurus.
If I see, I think it's Act 5, Scene 10.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, if that's a good one. Last week, when Elizabeth spun wild card, she chose one that I was unfamiliar with, and I said, "That is great. We can add it to the wheel." Maybe do the same. If you think this is a good one, message me, and I'll consider adding this to the wheel for future rounds as well. I look forward to seeing you do it. So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
A goodly medicine for my aching bones. Oh, world, world, world. Thus is the poor agent set to work, and how ill. Why should our endeavor be so loved and the performance so loathed? What for it? What instance for it? Fulmerly the humble bee doth sing, till he hath lost his honey and his sting, and being once subdued in armored tail, sweet honey and sweet notes together fail. Good traders in the flesh, set this in your painted cloth. As many as be here of Pandar's hall, your eyes half out weep at Pandar's fall. Or, If you cannot weep, yet give some groans. Though not for me, yet for uns. Brethren and sisters of the Hold-door trade, some 2 months I will here shall be made. It should be nice. Till then, I'll sweat and seek about for eases, and at that time bequeath you my diseases.
Okay, unfortunately, we had a bad connection with that one. That's too bad because from what I was able to hear, I thought it sounded like a great monologue and sounded like you were doing great. But unfortunately, we had a bad connection, so sorry about that. Eleanor, were you able to find the Day speech?
Not yet.
Okay, so we'll move on to Elizabeth. Elizabeth is next. Hello.
Hi.
Elizabeth, you. This is the one great monologue from Hamlet that you don't see very often. It's usually cut. You know, they say he has 4 great verse soliloquies in Act 1, 2, 3, and 4, and this is the one, the how all occasions do inform again. Okay.
Okay.
I don't I've never done this one before. I look forward to seeing this. Hold on, let me create the banner. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. A pop-up. Okay. How all occasions do inform against me and spur my dull revenge. What is a man, if his chief good and market of his time be but to sleep and feed, a beast no more? Sure, he that made us with such large discourse, looking before and after, gave us not that capability and godlike reason to fust in us unused. Now, whether it be bestial oblivion or some craven scruple of thinking too precisely on the event, a thought which, quartered, hath but 1 part wisdom and ever 3 parts coward, I do not know. Why yet I live to say this thing's to do, sith I have cause and will and strength and means to do it. Examples gross as earth exhort me. Witness this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince, whose spirit with divine ambition puffed, makes mouths at the invisible event, exposing what is mortal and unsure to all that fortune, death, and danger dare, even for an eggshell. Rightly to be great is not to stir without great argument, but greatly to find quarrel in a straw when honor's at the stake. How stand I then, that have a father killed, a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep, while to my shame I see the imminent death of 20,000 men, that for a fantasy and trick of fame go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough and continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth.
Okay, very nice. Let's see if Eleanor has found her text yet, and if not, Bill is next. Have you got it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
So you want me to start? Do you want to give
What's he that
Westmoreland's cue?
Yeah, right after Westmoreland's cue. So go from there. Oops.
Westmoreland's cue. Mark? do you want to give Westmoreland's cue?
Sure. Trying to remember what I was here. Oh, that we had fifth, or sort of. Oh, that we had 1/5 of the men in England today that do no work.
What's he that wishes so? My cousin Westmoreland? No, my fair cousin. If we are marked to die, we are not to do our country loss. And if to live, the fewer men, the greater share of honor. God's will, I pray thee, wish not one man more. By Jove, I am not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It yearns me not if men my garments wear. Such outward things dwell not with my desires. But if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most offending soul alive. No faith, my cause. Wish not a man from England God's peace. I would not lose so great an honor as one man more, methinks, would share from me for the best hope I have. Oh, do not wish one more. Rather proclaim it, Westmoreland, through my host, that he which hath no stomach to this fight, let him depart. His passport shall be made, and crowns for convoy put into his purse. We would not die in that man's company that fears his fellowship to die with us. This day is called the Feast of Crispian. He that outlives this day and comes safe home will stand a tiptoe when the day is named, and rouse him at the name of Crispian. He that shall live this day and see old age will yearly on the vigil feast his neighbors and say, tomorrow is St. Crispian. Then will he strip his sleeve and show his scars and say, these wounds I had on St. Crispin's day. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot, but he'll remember with advantages what feats he did that day. Then shall our names, familiar in his mouth as household words, Harry the King, Bedford and Exeter, Warwick and Talbot, Salisbury and Gloucester, be in their cups, flowing cups, freshly remembered. This story shall the good man teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by from this day to the ending of the world, but we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in bed in England, now abed, shall think themselves accursed they were not here, and hold their manhoods cheap, whilst any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.
Very nice. I love that. That's one that I almost could go off book on if I spin it. Anyway, see, Bill is up next. So the three remaining players will be Bill, then myself, and then Shelia, and then we'll go on to scenes. Okay, and Bill is going to perform. John of Gaunt. John of Gaunt's dying speech, methinks I am a prophet, new inspired. That's a great one. Okay. Create. Richard II, Act 2, Scene 1, approximately 33 lines in.
Okay. Methinks I am a prophet, new inspired, and thus expiring, do foretell of him. His rash, fierce blaze of riot cannot last, for violent fires soon burn out themselves. Small showers last long, but sudden storms are short. He tires betimes that spurs too fast betimes, with eager feeding food doth choke the feeder. Light vanity, insatiate cormorant, consuming means soon preys upon itself. This royal throne of kings, this sceptered isle, this earth of majesty, this seat of Mars, this other Eden, this demi-paradise, this fortress built by nature for herself against the infection and the hand of war, this happy breed of men, this loyal world, little world, this precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves in the office of a wall or as a moat defensive to a house against the envy of less happier lands. This blessed plot, this earth, this realm, this England, this nurse, this teeming womb of royal kings, feared by their breed and famous by their birth, renowned for their deeds as far from home for Christian service and true chivalry as in the sepulchre and stubborn jewelry of the world's ransom, Blessed Mary's Son, this land of such dear souls, this dear, dear land, dear for her reputation through the world, is now leased out. I die pronouncing it, like a tenement or pelting farm. England, bound in with the triumphant sea whose rocky shore beats back the envious siege of watery Neptune, is now bound in with shame, with inky blots and rotten parchment bonds. That England that was wont to conquer others hath made a shameful conquest of itself. Would this scandal vanish with my life? How happy then were my ensuing death.
Very nice. Okay, so it is my turn now. I will perform, and then Sheila, and then we move on to scenes. I'm going to perform Hamlet from oh, that this too solid flesh would melt. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew, so that the everlasting had not fixed his cannon against self-slaughter. God, how weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seemed me all the uses of this world. Fiant! Oh, fie. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely, that it should come to this. But 2 months dead, nay, not so much, not 2. So excellent a king that was to this I Pyrrhian to a satyr. So loving to my mother that he might to teem the winds of heaven visit her face too roughly. Heaven and earth must I remember. Why she would hang on him, as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on. And yet, within a month, let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or ere these shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body, like Niobe, all tears. Why, even she, oh God, a beast that wants discourse of reason would have mourned longer. Married with my uncle, my father's brother, but no more like my father than I to Hercules, within a month. Ere yet the salt of most unrighteous tears had left the flushing in her galled eyes, she married. Most wicked speed to post with such dexterity to incestuous sheets. It is not, nor it cannot come of good. Break my heart, for I must hold my tongue. Okay. Lastly, we have, so Shelia is the last to go. The order is random, just like the monologues.
Today's been so epic. I'm just saying, it's a little intimidating.
I put I made the change of deciding I'd spin for that in advance because that slows the game down too much to spin for the order and then spin for the scenes. We'll spin for the order first. That's already predetermined.
Oh no, this is such an epic session here. Some of the most amazing selections.
Oh, so we go from the very serious to the very crazy. We got a Dogberry. Quite a change in tone from the last one.
Oh, you better give me the context.
This is the Dogberry, the bumbling, Keystone cop, and interrogating the prisoners, and the cue is you are an ass, and he decides to.
Oh, I did do this a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay, you're right, you did. Let's spin again for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fun, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, if I retired it for a couple weeks, put it back on, it would have been okay. But if it's the same person doing it again, yeah, that's a little silly. So, I know the one I just did. I think I had done it before, but that was months ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's spin again for one that you didn't just do so recently.
Oh no! Okay.
Bro wins, and so we go back to this very serious. Okay.
I'm on the heath. Okay.
Clear. Let me put that in. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Oh, how far has he sunk at this point? Is everybody dead?
This is after he's run out in the storm, and both daughters have thrown him out.
Okay. Now it doesn't start with those lines. Where do you want? Where am I? I'm in the wrong scene.
I believe it's the top of the scene.
3-1, or am I in the wrong place?
Let me check. You might be in the wrong place. I'm sorry. It's probably my fault. I probably put the wrong.
I'm wearing new glasses. It may be my fault. I don't know, but we'll see where we end up.
You're right. It's my fault. I think this came up before. I got to fix that. It should say it should be 3 scene 2, and let's see. The other one, the fool, comes in. Well, let's take it up to tis foul. The fool has a brief. I think you just cut the fool. And the first 2 sections, which are interrupted by the fool, just continue on to make it a longer monologue. So I'm.
Yeah, and with oh foul, 'tis foul. Okay.
I'll try to fix that. I think it was a problem the last time this was spun by somebody else months ago, and I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. Yeah, it's my fault. It's Act 3, Scene 2 is what it should have said. That's why you were, it was my fault. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go.
Blow, winds, and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow, you cataracts and hurricanes. Spout till you have drenched our steeples, drowned the cocks, you sulphurous and thought-executing fires. Vaunt courteous to oak-cleaving thunderbolts. Singe my white beard, and thou all-shaking thunder, smite flat the thick rotundity of the world. Crack nature's moles, and German spill at once that make ungrateful man. Oh, rumble thy belly full. Spitfire, spout rain, nor rain, wind, thunder, fire are my daughters. I tax not you, you elements, with unkindness. I never gave you kingdom, called you children. You owe me no subscriptions. Then let fall your horrible pleasure. Here I stand, your slave, a poor, infirm, weak, and despised old man. But yet I call you servile ministers that have, with 2 pernicious daughters, joined your high engendered battles against a head so old and white as this. Oh, 'tis foul.
Okay, very nice. So the larger scene that we spun last week in anticipation was Hamlet, Act 5, Scene 1, after the Gravediggers part, when they've spoken to them. It would conclude with the Alas, Poor Yorick monologue, and then the funeral procession comes in. 5 roles to cast, and there's 9 of us here today, so I'll spin for 2 more scenes to accommodate the remaining 4 actors. And so the 5 roles we got so far: Hamlet, Horatio, Claudius, Laertes, Gertrude, and then I think I said this last week. I just made this decision, the casting decision, that so that everyone gets a meatier part, so we don't have smaller ones. There's actually 6 characters when you include the priest, and I'm going to combine the priest and Gertrude together, since Gertrude gives that sweets to the sweet monologue, that statement, which seems like a eulogy. We'll just make it like she's conducting, she's doing it. I don't know, maybe I made the wrong choice, but it seems like it's easy to combine those, like she's leading the ceremony. So anyway, the other 2 scenes, the other 2 scenes with a smaller number of characters that we'll do to accommodate all 9 of us, as we will do Romeo and Juliet. We keep getting Romeo. I keep thinking someone that this is not Juliet and the nurse. This is Juliet and her mother. Romeo and Juliet 3.5. Juliet and Lady Capulet. And then okay, so Measure for Measure, Isabella and Angelo. This is their first encounter. I think it's the first encounter where he sees her. He has and he's immediately infatuated with her. The second encounter is where he actually makes his indecent proposal, and she stands up to him, and it ends in the, who shall believe thee, Isabel. But this is the earlier encounter. There's two great scenes with them. This is the first of the two. So anyway, the 9 roles we have to cast again in Hamlet. Hamlet, Horatio, Gertrude, Claudius, Laertes, and then Romeo and Juliet, her mother, and then Measure for Measure, Isabella, and Angelo. And our first choice, the person who gets to make the first choice amongst those roles, will be Alex. What would you like?
Oh, that's an easy one. Hamlet.
Okay. So Alex will take Hamlet. The next choice will be Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what would you like?
Isabella.
Isabella. Okay. Ted, what would you like?
I'd like to do the Measure for Measure.
You'll be Angelo, okay?
Angelo? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Sheila, what would you like?
Yes, Lady Capulet.
Lady Capulet. Bill's up next. Bill, what would you like?
Oh, Laertes.
Laertes?
Yes, please.
Okay. Danielle, what would you like?
I'll take Juliet, please.
Juliet. So we have Horatio, Gertrude, and Claudius left. Okay. I will take Claudius. We have Gertrude and Horatio left. Okay, Henry, you want to be Horatio or Gertrude?
Horatio or who? Lady C.
Excuse me?
Horatio or who? What's the other one?
Horatio or Gertrude.
Oh, Gertrude, yeah.
Okay. And so that means so Eleanor will be Horatio. Okay, so our first scene we got Ophelia's funeral.
We're using MIT.
Yeah. We got Ophelia's funeral. You got, let's say, myself as Claudius. Bill is Laertes. Henry is Gertrude. Eleanor is Horatio. And Alex is Hamlet. 5 people in the scene, so let me get the scene. So do all 5 of us know our roles and know where we are in the script?
What's the first line?
Let's see.
You're starting with the priest, are you? In Hamlet?
There's a bit.
Oh no, earlier than that.
So we'll start with when. So the first line would be Horatio's. What's that, my lord? When he's just finishing the monologue, and then the others will enter in the funeral procession. So let me take. So to just be. So start. Right, go ahead.
Wouldn't it make sense for Hamlet to ask his question?
You're right. So not the whole monologue. You're right. With the prithee Horatio, tell me one thing. Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't we take it from that? The end of the last poor Yorick monologue. He ends with prithee Horatio, tell me one thing. So Hamlet will ask that question to Horatio, Eleanor. Let me go. So it's just Hamlet. So let's see. Let me take everyone else out of the stream. It's just Hamlet. And Hamlet and Horatio are in the scene, and then the others.
I shouldn't do the whole monologue, right? Just the end.
So just finish it. Yeah, because
okay.
I'm going to put. I don't think it is on the wheel, but it should be. I'm going to put that monologue on the monologues wheel. Okay, so we start with just Hamlet and Horatio on stage.
Mm-hmm. Pretty Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost thou think Alexander looked of this fashion in the earth?
Even so.
And smell so? Ha!
Even so, my lord.
To what base uses we may return Horatio? Why may not imagination trade the noble dust of Alexander till he find it stopping a bunghole?
'Twere to consider too curiously to consider so.
No, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesty enough and likelihood to lead it. As thus, Alexander died, Alexander was buried, Alexander returned into dust. The dust is earth. Of earth we make loam, and why of that loam, whereto he was converted? Might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that earth which kept the world in awe should patch a wall to expel the winter flow. But soft, aside! Here comes the king, the queen, the courtiers. Who is this they follow? And with such maimed rites? This doth betoken the course the foe did with desperate hand fordo its own life. It was of some state. Couch we a while and mark.
What ceremony else?
That is Laertes, a very noble youth. Mark.
What ceremony else?
Her obsequies have been as far and large as we have warranted. Her death was doubtful. And but that great command o'ersways the order, she should in ground unsanctified have lodged till the last trumpet. For charitable prayers, shards, flints, and pebbles should be thrown at her. Yet here she is allowed her virgin krantz, her maiden struments, and the bringing home of bell and burial.
Must there no more be done?
No more be done. We should profane the service of the dead to sing a requiem, and such rest to her as to peace-parted souls.
Lay her in the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. I tell thee, churlish priest, a ministering angel shall my sister be when thou liest howling.
What? The fair Ophelia?
Sweets to the sweet. Farewell. I hoped thou shouldst been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bed to have decked, sweet maid, and not have strewed thy grave.
Oh, treble woe, fall 10 times trouble on that accursed head, whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth a while, till I have caught her once more in mine arms. Now, pound your dust upon the quick and dead, till of this flat a mountain you have made, to o'ertop old Pelion, or the skyish head of blue Olympus.
What is he whose grief bears such an emphasis? Whose phrase of sorrow conjures the wandering stars and makes them stand like wonder-wounded healers? This is I, Hamlet the Dane.
The devil take thy soul.
Thou prayest not well, I prithee, take thy fingers from thy throat, for though I am not splendid and rash, yet have I something in me dangerous, which let thy wiseness fear. Hold up thy hand.
Pluck them asunder.
Hamlet, Hamlet!
Gentlemen,
Good, my lord. Be quiet.
Why, I will fight with him upon this theme until my eyelids will no longer wag.
Oh, my son, what theme?
I loved Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not, with all their quantity of love, make up my son. What wilt thou for her?
oh, he is mad, Laertes.
For love of God, forbear him.
Swan, show me what thou do. Would weep, would fight, would fast, would tear thyself? Would drink up Isil, eat a crocodile? I'll do it. Dost thou come here to whine, to outface me with leaping in her grave? Be buried quick with her, and so will I. And if thou prayest of mountains, let them throw millions of acres on us, till our ground, singing his fate against this burning zone, makes also like a war. Nay, and thou to mouth, I will run as well as thou.
This is mere madness, and thus a while the fit will work on him. Anon, as patient as the female dove, when that her golden couplets are disclosed, his silence will sit drooping.
Hear you, sir. What is the reason that you used me thus? I loved you ever, but it's no matter. Let Hercules himself do what he may. The cat will mew, and dog will have his day.
I pray you, good Horatio, wait upon him. Strengthen your patience in our last night's speech. We'll put the matter to the present push. Good Gertrude, set some watch over your son. This grave shall have a living monument. An hour of quiet shortly shall we see. Till then, in patience, our proceeding be. Scene. Okay. Good job, everybody. So next we have Romeo and Juliet, Juliet and Lady Capulet, and those are Danielle and Shelia requested those parts. So Danielle and Shelia will be Juliet and Lady Capulet.
Have you a place you want to start, Shelia? I'm just wondering if we want the setup
When you say
Obviously.
fortune, does that make sense?
Yes, that's why I was wondering. Does that make sense to you? Lovely.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it sounds like we're agreed. So whenever the two of you are ready, go ahead.
Oh, fortune, fortune, all men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? Be fickle, fortune, for then I hope thou wilt not keep him long, but send him back.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who is that calls? Is it my lady mother? Is she not down so late or up so early? What unaccustomed cause procures her hither?
How now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Evermore weeping for your cousin's death? What, wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
Yet let me weep for such a feeling loss.
Oh, so shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for.
Feeling so the loss cannot choose, but ever weep the friend.
Oh, well, girl, thou weepest not so much for his death, as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
What villain, madam?
That same villain, Romeo.
Villain, and he be many miles asunder. God pardon him, I do with all my heart, and yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
Ay, madam, from the reach of these my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
Oh, we will have vengeance. Fear not. Then weep no more. I'll send to one in Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live, shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company. And then I hope thou wilt be satisfied.
Indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart for a kinsman vexed? Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it, that Romeo should, upon receipt thereof, soon sleep in quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named, and cannot come to him, to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that slaughtered him.
Find thou the means, and I'll find such a man. But now I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
And joy comes well in such a needy time. What are they, I beseech your ladyship?
Well, thou hast a careful father, child, one who, to put thee from thy heaviness, has sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expected not, nor I looked not for.
Madam, in happy time. What day is that?
Mary, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant young and noble gentleman, the County Paris, at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now by St. Peter's Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste, that I must wed ere he that should be husband comes to woo. I pray you, tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet, and when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate rather than Paris these, and use indeed.
Here comes your father. Tell him so yourself, and see how he will take it at your hands.
Thank you, Sheila.
Very nice. Okay. So the scene of the first meeting between Isabella and Angelo, I think here's the thing. There's both the provost who's like whispering, asides into Angelo's ear. Let me see who's Eleanor and Ted. Oh no, Elizabeth and Ted. Sorry.
Those lines.
Those lines really aren't necessary, so I figure just let's take it from, we say enter Isabella and Lucio. The provost says, "God save your honor."
We can take it from "You're welcome. What's your will?"
Yes, that's what I was thinking. So I think "You're welcome." Angelo greets her? "You're welcome. What's your will?" And then when Lucio whispers stuff in Elizabeth's ear,
we'll skip it, Mark.
We'll just skip those.
Thank you.
You're both good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
You're welcome. What's your will?
I am a woeful suitor to your honor. Please, but your honor, hear me.
Well, what's your suit?
There is a vice that most I do abhor, and most desire should meet the blow of justice, for which I would not plead, but that I must, for which I must not plead, but that I am, at war twixt will and will not.
Well, the matter?
I have a brother is condemned to die. I do beseech you, let it be his fault, and not my brother.
Condemn the fault and not the actor of it? Why, every fault's condemnity ere it be done. Mine were the very cipher of a function, to find the faults whose fine stands in record and let go by the actor.
Oh, just but severe law. I had a brother then. Heaven keep your honor. Must he needs die?
Maiden, no remedy.
Yes, I do think that you might pardon him, and neither heaven nor man grieve at the mercy.
I will not do it.
But can you, if you would?
Look, what I will not, that I cannot do.
But might you do it, and do the world no wrong? If so, your heart were touched with that remorse, as mine is to him.
He's sentenced. 'Tis too late.
Too late? Why, no, I that do speak a word may call it back again. Will believe this. No ceremony that to great one longs, not the king's crown, not the deputed sword, the marshal's truncheon, nor the judge's robe, becomes them with one half so good a grace as mercy does. If he had been as you, and you as he, you would have slipped like him. But he, like you, would not have been so stern.
No, pray you be gone.
I would to heaven I had your potency, and you were Isabel. Should it then be thus? No, I would tell you what 'twere to be a judge, and what a prisoner.
Your brother is a forfeit of the law, and you but waste your words.
Alas, alas. Why, all the souls that were forfeit once, and he that might the vantage best have took found out the remedy. How would you be if he, which is the top of judgment, should but judge you as you are? Oh, think on that, and mercy then will breathe within your lips like man new made.
Be you content, fair maid. It is the law, not I condemn your brother. Were he my kinsman, brother, or my son, it should be thus with him. He must die tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, that's sudden. Spare him. Spare him. He's not prepared for death. Even for our kitchens, we kill the fowl of season. Shall we serve heaven with less respect than we do minister to our gross selves? Good, good, my lord, bethink you. Who is it that hath died for this offense? There's many have committed it.
The law hath not been dead, though it hath slept. Those many had not dared to do that evil. If the first that did the edict infringe had answered for his deed, now 'tis awake, takes note of what is done, and like a prophet looks in his glass that shows what future evils, either new or by remisses new conceived, and so in progress to be hatched and born, are now to have no successive degrees, but ere they live, to end.
Yet show some pity.
I show it most of all when I show justice, for then I pity those I do not know. What a dismissed offense would after gall, and do him right that, answering one foul wrong lives not to act another. Be satisfied. Your brother dies tomorrow. Be content.
So you must be the first that gives the sentence, and he that suffers. Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant. Could great men thunder, as Jove himself does, Jove would ne'er be quiet, for every pelting, petty officer would use his heaven for thunder, nothing but thunder. Merciful heaven, thou rather with thy sharp and sulphurous bolt splitst the unwedgeable and gnarled oak than the soft myrtle. But man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he's most assured, his glassy essence, like an angry ape, plays such fantastic tricks before high heaven as make the angels weep, who, with our spleens, would all themselves laugh mortal. We cannot weigh our brother with ourself. Great men may jest with saints, 'tis wit in them, but in the less foul profanation. That in the captain's but a choleric word, which in the soldier is flat blasphemy.
Why do you put these sayings upon me?
Because authority, though it errs like others, hath yet a kind of medicine in itself that skins the vice of the top. Go to your bosom, knock there, and ask your heart what it doth know that's like my brother's fault. If it confess a natural guiltiness such as is his, let it not sound a thought upon your tongue against my brother's life.
She speaks, and 'tis such sense that my sense breeds with it. Fare you well.
Gentle my lord, turn back.
I will bethink me. Come again tomorrow.
Hark, how I'll bribe you. Good my lord, turn back.
How? Bribe me?
Aye, with such gifts that heaven shall share with you. Not with fond shekels of the tested gold, or stones whose rate are either rich or poor, as fancy values them, but with true prayers that shall be up at heaven and enter there ere sunrise, prayers from preserved souls, from fasting maids, whose minds are dedicate to nothing temporal.
Amen. For I am that way going to temptation, where prayers cross.
At what hour tomorrow should I attend your lordship?
At any time, forenoon.
Save your honor.
From thee, even from thy virtue. What's this? What's this? Is this her fault or mine? Her tempter or the tempted? Who sins most? Not she, nor doth she tempt, but it is I that, lying by the violet in the sun, do as the carrion does, not as the flower, corrupt with virtuous season. Can it be that modesty may more betray our sense than woman's lightness? Having waste ground enough, shall we desire to raise the sanctuary and pitch our evils there? Oh, fie, fie, fie. What dost thou, or what art thou, Angelo? Dost thou desire her foully for those things that make her good? Oh, let her brother live. Thieves for their robbery have authority where judges steal themselves. What? Do I love her? That I desire to hear her speak again and feast upon her eyes? Why is't I dream on? O cunning enemy, that to catch a saint with saints dost bait thy hook. Most dangerous is that temptation that doth goad us on to sin in loving virtue. Never could the strumpet, or with her double vigor, art and nature, once stir my temper, but this virtuous maid subdues me quite, even till now, where men are fond. I smiled and wondered how.
Okay, very nice. That was a great. I don't know if I would say chemistry when your antagonist, but maybe there's a word, an antonym to that I'm not familiar with. But great sparks really flew in that. So you could really see it for an impromptu performance that this game was able to put together. I think that's awesome. So I think we had a good round. I really liked that closing scene. I saw the chemistry, or maybe I used the wrong word, between the two actors. That one was great. Anyway, to wrap up, we're going to take a look at what the larger scene is that we'll do next week before we do the randomly. So the one with five or six rolls that we'll do next week. So we're prepared for the Henry IV Part 1 and the rolls. Oh, actually, there's the rolls in Henry IV Part 1 with Hotspur, Prince Hal, Falstaff, and Lancaster are the role. And top of my head, I can't quite recall what that scene is. So, but we have a week to look it over and familiarize ourselves with it. What's going on there? Henry IV Part 1, Act 5. Well, I believe it's just before the climactic battle. I believe it's the final attempt to make peace with Hotspur before the battle starts. So we'll do that one next week, plus whatever smaller scenes we need to accommodate all the actors. We look forward to doing that. Thank you for everyone that joined us this week. We'll see you guys next week. Bye now.